I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. So the two women went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them, and the women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune on me." So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. So there's a famine in Judah. And Elimelech takes his family to Moab, where there's not a famine, where they can live. And it's while they're there, while the family's being taken care of, that Elimelech and the sons die. And you get this interplay between Naomi and her two daughters-in-law, where she's just complaining and complaining and complaining. "I don't have a husband. I don't have another child. You can't find another child for me. Why would you hang out with me? You don't need to be with me. I'm not the person you should stay with. You should go back to your own mom. You should go back to your own family. You should go back to your own gods. You shouldn't come with me. There's no reason for you to be with me." What you see in Naomi is what she says at the end of that chapter. She says, "Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara." And Mara is the Hebrew word for bitter. And so it just simply says, don't even call me by my real name. Give me a nickname. Call me just the bitter woman. Bitter women. That's not a sight I want to have in my mind of a person I want to hang out with. You know, and so let's just give you a profile of who Naomi is. If you're filling in the blanks, they'll be on the screen. Here's the profile of Naomi. She's bitter, she's depressed, and she's running away. She's been in Moab for 10 years. She has two daughters-in-law from Moabite families. It's not like Naomi's alone. She's got a family there and friends there that she's developed over 10 years. So unless she has been an isolated individual for 10 whole years, which can't possibly happen in their society back then, everybody had to work together, they had to cooperate, that's just the way they needed to do things. So she has built relationships over 10 years, and now all of a sudden, she says, "I'm going back to Judah, you ladies stay here, I'm going by myself." What is an old woman doing crossing the desert? You know, it's just not going to work out very well for her. She may not make it all the way back, and she's probably okay with that. She's bitter, depressed, and she just doesn't seem like someone I want to go on a long car ride with. And that's what Ruth is saying. Ruth says, "No, listen, where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Where you die, I will die. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God." Something must have happened with Ruth. Because Moab is a place that had gods, right? They had plenty of gods. They had one big god named Chemosh. I mean, he seemed like he was a good enough dude. Everybody seemed to love him in Moab. But Ruth says, no, no, no. I don't need this dude anymore. Whatever that thing is that people worship around here, I don't need that anymore. Your God will be my God. You get this picture of Ruth right there in that moment. She's changing her complete allegiance. She says, "I renounce the fact that I am part of this family, this Moabite system, and I am choosing to enter into a brand new family system. I'm choosing to enter into a family system with a bitter woman. I'm choosing to enter into a family system where I will give up my own life for this crazy, depressed lady." Something's going on with her. I mean, you gotta be either a little bit crazy or maybe a little bit convicted by God that something special is going to happen. But all we know is at this moment in time, Naomi is down in the dumps. Now let's do a quick profile of Ruth. You see, Ruth is loyal. She's determined. And she's not running away from anything. She's running towards something. Notice her language doesn't have anything about leaving. Her language has everything about going. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. She's going towards something. She's going towards a brand new thing. She's not in the midst of a downtime. She's moving toward a great time. There's a lesson there for just your own personal psychological health. But regardless, I think I want to draw your attention to one final fact here about this interplay. Naomi has bitterness because she has lost relationships. You see that? Her husband is dead. Her sons are dead. Her bitterness is because she has lost relationships. Her behavior is to send people away from her. Can you see what's going on there? I think we do it too. When we feel pain because of relationships, in fact, a lot of our pain comes from relationships, but when we find pain from relationships, it's our instinct to now say, I don't need relationships altogether. I can just be isolated. I can just avoid all this stuff. I can just move on, and maybe if I isolate myself well enough, I won't need to feel this pain ever again. Naomi in her bitterness is pushing people away. And Ruth, with some type of insight that must have come from God in heaven, says, I will not leave you. Something powerful is going on there, but let's go on to the second chapter here. I'm just going to share with you a couple snippets of the second chapter. I'll tell you the story, narrate it for a little bit, and then I'll give you the blanks. They come to this area in Bethlehem where they're going to set up their own household, their own camp there. And we find out it's at the beginning of the barley harvest. And so the next day, Ruth says to Naomi, Naomi, I want to go out and I want to go to the fields and I want to gather some food. It was the law of the land that when you harvested your crops, you were only supposed to make one pass. And if you missed anything, sorry, don't go back and get it. What you missed is what the poor people come and take. And so if you're harvesting your crops, you just get one pass, go straight, and if something falls on the ground, you can't pick it up. If you miss a whole row, you can't go back over it a second time. Just whatever happens to fall, whatever happens to be left over, that's what the poor people are allowed to come and take. And so Ruth says, I'm going to go and find a field, and I'm going to find a field where there's stuff left over, and I'm just going to grab whatever I can get. And Naomi says, okay, go ahead and do so. And so then Ruth goes, and lo and behold, she finds herself in the field of a man named Boaz. And we're told in the passage that Boaz is a kinsman. So that's your first blank there. Go ahead and jot that down.